October is here, and that means Halloween is approaching us. I love Halloween, and the best part about it being the last day of October is that you can celebrate Halloween throughout the whole month. And while this Halloween is certainly going to be different, it won't stop me from doing one thing that I love, playing Luigi's Mansion. The Luigi's Mansion series is one of my favorite series from Nintendo, and there's truly nothing else like it. Taking Luigi and his cowardly personality and bringing him to a haunted mansion was a brilliant idea, but with the games being this good, I'm sure you're curious to know how I would rank these games. Despite the latest game being called Luigi's Mansion 3, there are 5 Luigi's Mansion games in total, with one being a remake of the first game, and the other being an arcade game. I of course will be including every game, because if you're familiar with any of my other rank lists, I like to go above and beyond. Otherwise I'd be basic. So without further ado, here is every Luigi's Mansion game, ranked. Here's one you very well may have never played, or even heard about. Developed by Capcom using Sega's NU arcade board, Luigi's Mansion Arcade was released in Japan in the summer of 2015, and surprisingly got a release in North America in 2017. After the initial what the of hearing the game was developed by Capcom for a Sega arcade board, you'll quickly realize that this is not a typical Luigi's Mansion game. The game is clearly based on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Even its presentation looks like an upscaled 3DS game, but at least it looks better than the other upscaled 3DS game, Pokemon Sword and Shield. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because this is a very different experience compared to your typical Luigi's Mansion. Rather than exploring a mansion collecting keys and trying to rescue Mario, you instead use a poltergeist to vacuum up ghosts in an on-rail shooter type game. This is the only on-rail shooter in the Mario series, and despite the concept of it sounding strange, it's actually really fun. Another part of the fun comes from using the actual poltergeist. You control the game by pointing a real-life poltergeist at the screen, and using it to suck up ghosts. What's even cooler is that you can feel the ghost going in the poltergeist. It's pretty much a hyper-realistic form of HD Rumble. And speaking of that, this would be a game that would be super cool to port to the Switch. Why port just Wii U games when you can port something actually cool? The Joy-Cons could work similarly to the poltergeist controls, and with the emphasis on multiplayer and the pick-up-and-play nature of the game, it would be a perfect fit. I don't think many people are hitting up the arcades this year, so to give fans something to play that they've likely never or don't often play would be a great and smart idea. It's totally unique from any of the other Luigi's Mansion games, and is definitely a really fun and cool entry in the series. If you want to play it yourself, some Dave & Buster's locations have it, though not all of them do. Just go when it's safe to do so, but if you want to play it right now, you can play it via Technoparrot on PC, because if Nintendo ain't gonna give you a way to play it, there's always emulation.
Do what you want 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Luigi's Mansion got a full-on remake on the 3DS 2 years ago. Oftentimes, remakes can add a lot to the original game and improve on a lot. In some ways, Luigi's Mansion 3DS added some pretty nice improvements to the original game. You can now use a strobe light from Dark Moon to stun ghosts, making it much easier to stun them. Along with that, they added the ability to use the gyroscope to aim the poltergeist, added a new boss rush mode, added the PAL exclusive version of the hard mode into the North American release, co-op multiplayer, and of course, every model and texture were touched upon the game to make it look more in line with how the Mario characters look nowadays. And of course, there's the addition of 3D. So far it sounds great. In a lot of ways it is. It's Luigi's Mansion, so of course it's gonna be fun. But the main question I had throughout playing Luigi's Mansion 3DS is why? Why remake Luigi's Mansion on the weak and non-ideal 3DS when the Switch is so much more powerful and has better controllers? If this game released on the 3DS in 2011 or 2012 as a title to hold people over before Dark Moon and showcase the hardware of the 3DS, I'd be cool with that. But the fact of the matter is, this was a very late release in the 3DS's life. This came out in the middle of October of 2018, and during that time, the Switch really needed more games. But the main reason why it's ranked lower than the original is because it's not that substantial of an upgrade. The new additions are nice, but I'd rather play the original Luigi's Mansion. The reasons because of this are that the GameCube controller is far better to use than the 3DS to control the game, and with a game like Luigi's Mansion, you really want to play it on the TV with the lights down and the volume up to get the full experience. You don't really get that from the small 3DS screen. Don't get me wrong, Luigi's Mansion 3DS is still a great game, but you're not really getting the full experience here. It's like being served a fancy meal at a gas station. The meal is great, but a gas station isn't the ideal place to present it. Luigi's Mansion 3DS is a fine game, but would have massively benefited if it got a remake on the Switch. If only we could imagine how great a Switch Luigi's Mansion could be. The start of it all and the spookiest launch title ever, Luigi's Mansion was the first game to give Luigi a starring role. That isn't a game. Usually with every Nintendo console, we get a Mario game at launch. But this time around, we got a Luigi game, and that set the tone for the experimental and wonderful era that the GameCube era was. Luigi's Mansion is unlike any game I played before. The objective of the game is to rescue Mario after King Boo turned him into a painting, and even though Mario might be athletic and a good kart racer, he certainly isn't the brightest for accepting a mysterious mansion and a sham giveaway. It's up to Luigi to put ghosts back in their portraits and collect keys throughout the mansion to rescue his brother. The game is so much fun. Sucking up ghosts with the poltergeist is a blast, and exploring the mansion is always a good time. But one of the things I love the most about Luigi's Mansion is the atmosphere of the game is unlike anything we've seen in the Mario series before. The Mario series has had no shortage of haunted levels, but none capture the tone of eeriness like Luigi's Mansion does. It's not crap your pants scary, but it really feels like an unsettling place to be. Many of the ghosts are humanoid, implying that they actually existed at one point. Not to mention a final boss so creepy, it could actually change the lore of the entire Mario series. But despite how great Luigi's Mansion is, it does have one big flaw: its length. The game can be beaten in just a few hours, and while you can always go for the highest ranking, there's not as much replay value as I would like. But other than that, Luigi's Mansion is a charming and great game that really showcased the hardware of the GameCube and just how great a Luigi game could be. And the good news is, it only gets better from here. Released almost 12 years after the first game, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, or Luigi's Mansion 2 anywhere outside of North America, had the task of being a worthy sequel to the original GameCube classic. But did it deliver? Absolutely it did. Otherwise I wouldn't rank it higher than the original. Dark Moon took the concept of Luigi's Mansion and made it so much better. Luigi now has the upgraded Poltergeist 5000, and I know what some of you are thinking. What happened to the 4000? Well... yeah, I don't think this thing would be all that useful sucking up ghosts. And with the new Poltergeist come a ton of new abilities. Luigi now has a strobe light to stun ghosts, which is way more satisfying and fun to use than the original flashlight. You can also vacuum up ghosts with more power, with the addition of the Power Surge, which lets you vacuum up ghosts with more power. Finally, Luigi now has a dark light he can use to uncover secrets. Dark Moon now has 5 mansions to explore instead of just 1, each with their own theme. There's a Haunted Mansion, an Old Clockwork Mansion, and even a Snowy one. But what makes Dark Moon even better than the first game is just how much more there is to do, and just how much better the gameplay is. The game has a heavier focus on puzzle solving, and it really gives the game more depth. The game uses a mission structure instead of exploration, and some people didn't like this change. But honestly, I liked it. You're ranked up to 3 stars, giving the game a lot more replay value, and making it a great game to 100%. While the exploration structure makes the game feel more like an adventure, the mission-based structure wasn't something that bothered me at all, mainly because the actual game is so much better than the original. This is also not one of, but the best looking game on the 3DS. I know I said Luigi's Mansion 3DS isn't as immersive as the original presentation was, but here it's a different circumstance. This was made specifically for the 3DS, and it didn't really go for the creepy atmosphere of the original. I would have liked it to, but it's not that big of a deal, and the game still looks great. There's even a multiplayer mode called Scarescraper, which is a lot of fun to play, and can even be played online. The only complaint I have with the game is the design of the ghosts. There are only a few of them, and they're all kinda generic in design. Except for Polterpup, he's awesome. But that's a very minor complaint in a fantastic game, which also happens to be my favorite 3DS game. It seems that Luigi's Mansion has the advantage of having the better presentation and exploration structure, while Dark Moon has a better gameplay. So what would happen if you combine these two ideas and expanded on them in every way? Luigi's Mansion 3. Words cannot describe how phenomenal this game is. What Luigi's Mansion 3 did was take the best aspects of the first 2 games, address some criticism they had, while also introducing a ton of new ideas. Luigi's Mansion 3 takes place in a haunted hotel this time around, where you're collecting elevator buttons, rescuing Peach, the Toads, and Mario from King Boo. While the plot is predictable, the idea of a haunted hotel instead of a traditional haunted mansion is brilliant, and the execution was excellent. Instead of missions, you're once again exploring just like in the first game, but for the completionists out there like me, there are gems to collect to go for that 100%. And once again, Luigi has a new Poltergeist, the Poltergeist G00. Everything from the Poltergeist 5000 is back, but this time, Luigi can create a shockwave with the Poltergeist, shoot plungers at ghosts and items, and slam ghosts to their doom with it. It's pretty funny how Luigi went from, "Oh no, Mario, I'm so scared" in the first game, to, "You know the drill, Luigi. Let's send these ghosts back to the hell they came from." But the biggest addition is Luigi. He's used to solve puzzles and find gems, and I never found his use to be intrusive. Luigi always made the game even more fun. So far we have the best gameplay in the entire series, and along with that, we have the most creativity. Remember the complaints about the ghosts being generic in Dark Moon? Well here, Next Level Games brought back the portrait ghosts from the first game, and even though they aren't called that, the concept is the same. You got a bellhop ghost, a police officer ghost, farmer ghost, and a lot more. They feel right at home with the ghosts in the first game, and they're great. The creativity in this game is pouring. Some of the floors are based on areas you would find in a hotel, and while some of the other locations are so wacky and out there and ones you'd never likely find in a hotel, they're memorable and unlike anything we've seen before. Though I won't get into too much detail to avoid spoilers. Finally, the overall presentation of Luigi's Mansion 3 is... how can I put this? There are good looking games, there are great looking games, and then there's Luigi's Mansion 3. This game literally looks like a CGI animated film. Playing through Luigi's Mansion 3, I honestly felt I was playing through an interactive movie. The Switch might not be a powerful system, but man, a good art direction can go a long way. And the cutscenes legitimately look like a Pixar film. Good graphics don't always make a good game, but good graphics make a great game even better. Everything about the presentation is stellar, and for that Mario movie that's supposed to come out in 2022, Nintendo better hire these animators for the project. It's funny that Luigi's Mansion 3 was once one of the most unimpressive looking Switch games back at its reveal in 2018, and then became the best looking game on the entire system. The game also has co-op and 2 additional multiplayer modes, being Scarescraper and Scream Park. The multiplayer is fun, but the best part of the game is easily the main campaign. I cannot stress enough how great Luigi's Mansion 3 is, and if you don't have it yet, it's a must-have on the Switch. While it is a little bit on the easy side, this is a fantastic game that's easily one of the best Switch games. Along with Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Mansion 3 is a game that truly impressed me beyond all expectations. So there you have it. The Luigi's Mansion series is great, and I look forward to seeing more games in the series. Considering how well the Switch is doing, maybe we could see Luigi's Mansion 4 a few years down the line. But what is your favorite Luigi's Mansion game? If I had to guess, it would probably be Luigi's Mansion 3. Let me know in the comments, and as always, keep calm and da-da on.